Hello and welcome back to another video where I am attempting to simplify my life. I'm sat here on the floor of the playroom, and before I start to dig out all of the toys for a post-Christmas declutter, I thought I would just have a little catch up with you and explain some of the research that I've been doing into my children's toys. So if you're new here, I am mum to 1-year-old identical twin boys, and I am feeling very burnt out post-Christmas. We've been ill again, you can probably hear in my voice, we've all had a cold, and it has been treacherous in terms of sleep with the boys. Their sleep has just completely gone out of the window, and I have never felt so fatigued. It is worse than our newborn days, I swear. I just don't have like the hormones to be getting up all night anymore. But it's the job of us mums, isn't it? And this is the reason why I started to simplify my home, because I was just feeling so overwhelmed, run down and tired. I still am, but my home is getting a lot easier to manage as I go through the decluttering and simplifying of our systems, our routines, our clutter. I'm taking inspiration from books that I've read and videos that I've watched online of other mums who have simplified their life and become a lot more calmer. And that is what I'm hoping I'm going to gain from this too. The goal is to reduce all of the inventory in my store, that is my home, that I have to manage every day. So toys is a really tricky area. My children are only 1 year old. They can't talk, they can't walk even. So they can't tell me what they like and what they don't like. And I do, however, know that when we have too many toys, they are overstimulated. On Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day this year, we had different family events where they all received lots of gifts and toys, and it was all brought into our home. And their behaviour, I mean, they were poorly, so I have to take into account that they had colds as well. So they weren't feeling 100% themselves, but their behaviour was really bad, and I hadn't seen it like that before. And I was thinking, oh my God, is this going to be it now? Is this just the toddler years that we're into? But they were squabbling, biting each other, pulling each other's hair, scratching each other. And like with twins, you do get an element of that. But this was like every time I left the room, and I can usually leave them in this playroom with the baby gate closed. It's safe in here, and I can leave them to play whilst I go and, you know, sort something in the kitchen, make their dinner, whatever it is. But I literally could not leave the room. So they would just abuse each other as soon as I left the room. And I started to realise that maybe they're a little bit overstimulated by all of the new stuff that they've had. I think there's just so much new stuff. It was just too much for their little brains to comprehend. And I was feeling overwhelmed by it in the house. So I then started to do a little bit of research online. Now, I read the book Simplicity Parenting shortly after the boys were born. So I've always had this foundation of how I wanted their toys to look and our home to feel, and the routines and rhythms of life that create calm children. And I think I've done a okay job at managing the level of toys that have come into the house, because I mean, you'll see our toy collection shortly. We have a lot, but I would have been probably 3 times the amount if I hadn't have been decluttering constantly over the last year. So in Simplicity Parenting, there isn't like a set number of toys that your children should have. It's very much, actually, I think he says halve the amount of toys and then halve it again. But if I did that, they would hardly have anything left. So I think we're doing okay in that sense. But he does say that there isn't a set number of toys that is correct for every child. Every child is going to be different. He says that 12 toys might actually not be enough for a certain child, and they might need more than that on offer. So I also follow Montessori a little bit, and I have the Montessori baby book, and I followed that throughout the months of their first year. I think it goes up to the first year of like developmentally correct things for your baby to be doing. And in both Montessori and Simplicity Parenting, I think they have a toy rotation where they put some toys away and then bring them out. That's something that I'm on the fence about whether I'm going to do or not. I am putting some toys away, but not in the traditional toy rotation sense. I get a little bit attached to their toys, and I can see how much they love some of their toys. So I don't want to be I keep all their favourite toys out, and I don't want to be take away their favourite toys to replace it with something else, because I think, aren't they going to miss that toy that they love? And I just want to have the toys that they love out. So I don't know about the toy rotation, but I'll explain my version of it later in the video. So I was getting a little bit confused over what toys they should and should not have, and I think this is probably a common problem. There's just so much information out there, and when they said open-ended toys, I was a bit like unsure of what that even meant. My understanding of that now is that open-ended means that they're not just looking at the toy and pressing a button on a toy. It means that they can do multiple things with that. So it might be stacking it, moving it around into different places, making a little village out of it, or making, you know, making things, creating different things, moving it around the house, like imaginative play basically. If it is, for example, like a flashing battery operated push button toy, all they can do is play with that toy, whereas with their stacking cups, they like to stack them and knock them down, they like to put things in them and move them around, and this is going to be different depending on the age of your child. So I have made a list of things that I think I would like to keep that are open-ended, engaging and age appropriate for the 12 to 18 month age range, but all of the toys that I'm going to talk about will also be appropriate for 18 to 24 months. I won't have to get rid of them as we go into the next season, and beyond even, some of them. So it's worth just having a little bit of a look for your child's age. We are only at the very start of the toy journey. So I'm going to go through the list now of the toys that I'm keeping in the different categories that I've put them into and why. So the first one is cause and effect sort of toys. So the boys' favourite thing to do is put things in boxes, whether it's a shape sorter or just a random box, to put it in the box, take it out of the box. They love that. In the kitchen, when I'm trying to occupy them in their high chairs while I'm preparing food, I'll give them a Tupperware box and put some of their like spoons and forks in the Tupperware for them, and they'll just put them in and out and then throw them on the floor, and then they'll do it all over again. We have some wooden animals that they absolutely love putting in and out of boxes. So yeah, so shape sorters are really good in this category. Cause and effect also covers like musical things. So they've got like a xylophone, which they're a little bit young for now, but I like the idea of musical play. So I've got one that's got, like, I'm looking at it now, a drum, a xylophone, a little cymbal. I'm keeping that. But yeah, in this cause and effect category, for me right now, it is shape sorters and boxes. That they love it. That's their main independent play. The next category I've done is building. So we've got some wooden building blocks, and we got some, I think they're called mega blocks for Christmas, which is like giant Lego. They're a little bit young to do it themselves, but it's quite nice when we sit with them. We'll build towers and they love to knock them down. They like to root through them, and again, they like to put them in their boxes. So they'll take the Lego or the wooden blocks and they'll go and put them in the other little boxes that they've got. And so yeah, building, I think in the next age category will become a big thing, that they can like build little villages and things for their animals. And yeah, so I think blocks, Lego, things like that will grow with them for years. I just want to manage it so I haven't got too much. So I've got two tubs for a tub for Lego and a tub for blocks, and I'm not going to outgrow that. That's it. The next section is more like real life objects, which I've already said, like with the Tupperware in the kitchen. I also give them like the measuring cups in the kitchen for them to play with, and wooden spoons. They've got their own little kitchen here which has got wooden spoons and plates and things. So real life mini children's versions of real life stuff, but also actual real life stuff. Their nursery is very good actually for providing real life things as toys. They use like kitchen roll inners and wooden spoons and pine cones, and it's all very natural at nursery, so taking a little bit of inspiration from that as well. And I've put the stacking cups into this category as well, but I guess the stacking cups could be building, but they're also, I don't know, the categories blur, don't they, a little bit? But yeah, stacking cups and real world objects, wooden spoons, measuring cups, things like that. I've then gone on to like a movement category, which I'm putting in cars and their diggers. They like their little diggers, filling them up again. They've got little JCBs, and they can put their blocks into the diggers and push them around. They love doing like brum brum with that, and they love their cars, moving their cars around, doing brum brum with the cars. That's like one of their favourite things. So yeah, movement in that category I've included their walker, which is a wooden walker that we got them for Christmas, because I read that you shouldn't really get walkers and things because you want them to just develop naturally and at their own pace. And I think that's mostly around the walker with the ring where you sit them in it and it's a seat and they push themselves around. But they started to push the washing basket around like as if they were pushing a walker, and it wasn't particularly safe because it kept flipping up on them. So we got them a wooden walker for Christmas that they can push along, and that's really cute and they're enjoying that. So I've put that into the movement category as well. Board books is a big one. We had a lot of paper books that obviously can rip, and they do rip them all the time. So we've gone for board books. The only problem with these is that they chew them and then the cardboard comes off in their mouth. So it needs a little bit of supervision, but they're getting better with that with age. But they love to sit and just flick through the pages of a book. I think they're like copying what we do with the book. The That's Not My series is quite good, where they can feel the different textures on the pages. And we've got some of the Julia Donaldson, is it Tales of Acorn Wood ones for Christmas with the lift the flaps. They absolutely love those. So yeah, board books has its whole own category. Then I've got a nurturing category, which is where I've put the soft toys. They absolutely love their cuddly toys. They just love to cuddle them, hold them, move them around, basically just give them a cuddle. My mum brought them some dolls as well, which are really big and heavy, and I don't think that they're ready developmentally to be like caregiving to a doll. So I've put them away until they're a little bit older because they were just sat in the corner not getting any attention. But yeah, dolls and cuddly toys would come into this category, and I think that is quite good developmentally for them to like be caring for it and putting it in its bed and tucking it in and things like that. And then the last category is just like loose parts, basically. So I've put the wooden animals into this. That's like a favourite thing. We've got a Noah's Ark that came with animals, and they had some wooden stacking blocks which came with wooden animals, and they just like to put the animals into the boxes. That's really sweet. So that's like open-ended sort of rings, balls. They like to throw a ball around, crawl around after a ball. I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. I just kind of wanted a list of what toys were good for this age and above. I don't want to waste money on things that aren't going to be developmentally appropriate for them, and these things they definitely engage in independent play, and it's not a one-time use. And then just to touch on what I'm not keeping, that would be battery operated toys that play music, they light up, they flash. I think these things are a little bit overstimulating and they just want to watch them and watch them all the time, and then they're not really engaging in anything else, and they're not being imaginative with it either. They do love these things, I've noticed, when they've been gifted them, but they also cause squabbling for us with twins, that they both will want it and then they will fight over it. There's like not enough of it to go round, it's just that one thing doing that one thing. So anything loud like that I'm getting rid of, or I've already got rid of. So going forwards, things that I would like to add to our collection of toys are more real life objects. So mini versions of like a dustpan and brush and stuff for them. They're a little bit young for it now, but as they get older. And then garden like tools and scoops and things for in the garden. I love gardening and I haven't done it since they were born. I would love to get back into it this year, and I'm thinking about setting up a little bench for me in the garden to be like potting on and things. And then I thought the boys could have a little mini bench with like tools and things that they can play around with. Again, might be a bit young this year, but definitely next year. So they're the kinds of things that I would look to add going forwards, things so that they can join in with household tasks. And again, they're a little bit young for that yet, but I know that that's a really good thing to involve them in. I also read that fancy dress was really good for them. We don't have any fancy dress yet, but I know that they love like putting different hats on and pretending that things are hats. So I think a little fancy dress box would be good. They say not to use characters. Again, that's another thing that I saw listed quite a lot, is not to buy character toys. So like if it's a TV character, because they can't be as imaginative with that. And the same with the costumes, I think, to keep it less about like a TV show or a character and more like open-ended for their imagination. Just a note on if you have twins, because I know quite a few of you following along also have twins, and it was the twin squabbling that really got me digging into the research on this. children can't learn to share until around the age of 4, so you can't really teach sharing. And if you do teach sharing, like you're saying share it with your brother and pass the toy to your brother, they'll do it because they get the reward of you saying yes, that's great, good job, you shared, and they'll do it in front of you, but they're only doing it to get the yay from you. They're not actually doing it because they understand sharing. It's like teaching them a trick. So as soon as I would leave the room, they wouldn't be sharing, they'd be pulling each other's hair out. So you can't really teach to share. So some of the things you can do for twins for less squabbling is any real high value toy that's holding all the attention, have 2, so they've got 1 each. And then everything else, I like to make it so we've just got multiples of everything. So like we've got lots of wooden boxes for them to put things in and lots of wooden toys for them to put in the boxes. So there's plenty to go around. It's not just one of something. There's always, if it's high value, 2. And also when we introduced so much new stuff, that was when the squabbling heightened. So I think it was the overwhelm and overstimulation and so much newness. I think predictability is great. So coming down and they know they've got the same toys that were there yesterday. There's no, oh, that's new, I want that, I'm going to go and grab that off you. I think predictability and simple play space, that has definitely reduced the squabbling since Christmas for us. So let's jump in now. I'll show you some of the things that I've been doing, what I've been observing with the twins, and we'll get some more decluttering done. So this is the IKEA unit that everybody has, and we initially had all baskets along the bottom and then some toys out along the top. I actually think we had it the other way around because they couldn't reach the top. So we had baskets all along the top, toys all along the bottom. But I was finding that they couldn't see what were in these baskets. They're big baskets. They couldn't see in. They're too like high up for them to actually see what's in. So in terms of these being like the grabbable toys that they can play with, it wasn't really working. Sometimes they would pull out and tip out the entire thing, but most of the time what was in the baskets was just left unless I got it out. And for example, I wanted somewhere to put all of the wooden toys. The wooden toys came to about here, and that's quite hard for them to get their hand all the way down in there. So I needed something like lower level baskets for them to be able to get their hands in. But I'm really not in the market for like buying storage containers. It really annoys me. So I was thinking, what do I already have that I could use to store things like that in? So we got given these wooden blocks for Christmas, which are great. They stack on top of each other, and it came with wooden animals, and there's a couple of these are really big. These ones. And so I started to put their wooden animals in these. So the wooden animals are in these now, and they get these out every single day, and they move them around all the different boxes, put them through the shape sorter like I said, and they're easy for them to see on the shelf. It's like a big dip here, they can see exactly what's in there. And yeah, they love going through. They put them on their little table, they take them off the table, they put them on the chair, they take them off the chair. So yeah, firm favourite for a 1-year-old. So just giving you an idea of how this looks from a distance. It looks a little cluttered. I'm thankful that we have this room and this doesn't have to be in my living room, but I change it up every day as to how it looks. When I'm tidying it away, it just goes away differently each day. You can see that I've got their stuffed animals hidden down here. They like to go through the table and use this as a little den area. And on the top here, this was so cluttered before, and I've just kept 3 key things on the top there now. The train gets played with a lot. They like taking the pieces apart. This they are not really engaging in yet. I'm not sure what age they will or if they will, but I like the look of it, so I've kept it for the aesthetic. And then this is the musical one that I told you about. My husband got them this for Christmas, and I'm hoping that they can engage with that a little bit more as they get older. So I'm just going to go through the cupboard and talk about what I've put here. So on the similar lines of not buying any more storage baskets, another piece of storage that we have in here is the sink from the kitchen. Now they would just take it out and throw it on the floor and tip things down the sink into the cupboard, but the actual sink made a nice little container for the cars. So I think if you're not too bothered about aesthetics, you can find like ways to store things at their level that they can see and access without having to buy anything. The only thing that I have in baskets here now is their puppets. Now my mum brought them all these puppets, and They do like it when you puppet play, but it's not really like open-ended for them. They're not doing it yet. I'm doing it for them, but I think one day they'll probably really enjoy this. And we have got a puppet theatre as well, like an old-fashioned puppet theatre, which, you know, I think it's going to get minimal use, but we're going to keep it because it was a gift for their first birthday from my mum. So there's a whole basket of puppets. They do pull them out and they ask me to do the puppets for them, and they enjoy that. So yeah, not the most open-ended thing, but I don't really have anywhere else to put them. And then at the end, I've got a basket which I'm going to move out into a different room. This is all stick-on stuff that we use on their high chairs. And to be honest, I might just get rid of them because because they don't really engage in them anymore. They don't really teethe on them anymore, although they're not teething at the moment. Maybe when they are, this would be helpful. But they used to engage with these a lot when they were a lot younger, and now I'm just giving them stuff from the kitchen, like I said, like lunch boxes and wooden spoons and measuring cups and things for them to play with, so I'm not really using this. So I might actually get rid of these, and then that'll be a free basket for something else. So over in this corner we have a bookcase, which I'm not loving, to be honest, because I'm storing loads of books up there. I'm really attached to their books and struggling to get rid of them, but they will look up and point and want a book rather than the ones that I've put out, and they're not always ones that I can leave them with. They just rip them, they're like not age appropriate. So that's probably not something that I would recommend, is to have all the books out where they can see them. I think in Simplicity Parenting he said like 12 books on offer in a room at once is enough, and to like rotate them. But again, I feel like they get attached to the same stories and just want the same thing over again, and so I don't want to then take away that favourite book that they always gravitate towards. It's a tricky one. So yeah, books, not really my area of expertise, but the recommendation is 12 is enough. So in these baskets down here, I think most of this will be going. I'm going to get it all out shortly. It's little things. I might put that for like if I'm going out and about with them to somebody's house or a restaurant. I think this would come in handy, but they just don't play with it at home. It's kind of like a bit younger, these things, like raffles and things. They like the eggs, actually. These eggs all like stick together, and they like to put those in the shape sorters, so I'll keep those. But yeah, we'll go through that later. And then this is the mega blocks in here. So one of the tips from Simplicity Parenting was to have baskets on ground level where they can access them and reach them, and they're easy to get to, but cover them with some sort of cloth or blanket or scarf so they haven't got the visual clutter, so they're not just getting distracted by seeing it and going and playing with it. They're actually actively thinking, oh, I want that thing in that basket, so I'm going to go and uncover it and get it, which has been the case. This is the mega blocks under here, and I've been covering it up with a blanket, and most of the time they ignore it, and then occasionally they'll come over, take the blanket off, and they'll actively play with this and not just be distracted by it. So this collection here I've just brought in from our living room, so that's the other room where we store some toys for them. So I'm going to go through these when I'm decluttering as well. And for full transparency, this is the pile from in this cupboard here, which is where I'm storing toys that need supervision. So I have another cupboard under our stairs that has the toys that they are too old for. These ones I am allowing them to play with now, but they require supervision. We've got the 2 boxes there, and then we've got this situation as well. Okay, I feel like it looks like a lot when you see it all out like that, but I'm just going to go through all this now with those categories in mind and what we've just discussed, and I will see you on the other side. Going to show you what I'm putting back in the box for in the living room. Some of these things I don't think they've been playing with that much, but I'm not ready to let them go yet because they do fit into the categories that we discussed at the start of the video. So I've got these stacking, these rubber stacking things. They haven't been playing with them that much recently, but they do fit the categories, so I'm going to keep observing and see if they come out again. And I've got these cubes. These were from the same set on Amazon. These are good because they're lightweight, so they'll often hit each other over the head. So that's why I got these ones, because they can't hurt each other with them. But again, I haven't seen them playing with them recently. It's all been about the wooden animals. These books with like the touchy-feely bits and the animals, they never really interacted with these very much, but I have seen them looking at them more so recently. So maybe they're just coming into an age where they can interact with those now. They like doing the animal noises. 2 balls, these are the ones that go in the living room, and then we've got one for in the playroom as well. They love to throw a ball around. These 2 characters, I am torn on this. Again, they're not open-ended, they don't get them out very much, and they've got lots of soft toys around the rest of the house, but these are the only ones in the living room. So I'm going to pop them in the box, and again, just observe on these ones. I'm not doing very well at getting rid of stuff so far, am I? Now these Skittles, I've got a whole set of these Skittles. These are good for building towers and them knocking them down, and again they can move them around and put them into things. So these are going to stay, but they're a bit of a health and safety hazard for being knocked on the head. So again, we'll just see how we go, and if I think I need to take them away, then I will. Stacking cups, I love stacking cups. These are great for everything, like I say, and I'll often pop these ones in the bag if we're going out to someone's house where they don't have baby toys. Stacking cups are great for that. These stacking cubes were from a charity shop my mum picked up. They're plastic, so I'm not the biggest fan, and they do have wooden ones in here, but for in the other room, these are quite good and probably one of the most played with things in that room. So I'm not just getting rid of things because they're plastic. If they play with them and they use them, then I'm going to keep them. We've got 2 like baby shakers, which I've decided to keep for now because they do love to shake noisy things. So not ready to part with these just yet. And then the rest are either wooden characters or vehicles. So we've got the JCBs. These are brilliant if you've got boys. I would really recommend these. They're plastic, they're lightweight, they can chuck them around, very sturdy, and they can put things in them and drive them around. We've got a little lorry which has little cars that go on the back of it, which they love. There's an Asda van, which is a supermarket here in the UK, which they love like a flap, an opening and closing flap, love it. They'll put the little toys in, close the little flap, that's one of their favourite things. So usually one of them has this in the living room and the other has the Noah's Ark with the flaps, and one of them will be putting stuff into the Asda van and the other one will be putting it into the Noah's Ark. And then lastly, this is a random squeaky car. It needs oiling, but they love that it squeaks. That again, one of their favourites. It was, my mum picked it up in a charity shop. It's actually missing a part, but yeah, they love it, so that's going in there as well. So that's everything for the living room. Oh no, it's not. A scarf. They like a scarf, they like to play peekaboo. We used to have loads of these and I've got rid of most of them. I gave them to my sister-in-law who had a baby, but I kept just a couple back. So we weren't completely without, but yeah, I can't beat a scarf for peekaboo. I tell a lie, that isn't the end. So this is actually the last thing. This is a puzzle. Now they are way too young for this. It's actually a really complex puzzle. Look at all the sticks on the end of there. They can do the round one, which has 1 stick that they've got to try and get it on. They can do that. But again, they like the parts for posting in boxes and stuff. So this is getting a lot of use. I'm feeling like there's quite a lot of stuff here, but the majority of this does get used. So these toys are all going in the cupboard here. These are ones that either require supervision or I don't want to have them out all the time. I just want to get them out on a special occasion. So this is what the unit is looking like now. I've got the puppet toys over here on the right, with the shape sorters above, some board books, they're cars, which I've simplified a little bit, some are in another basket now, a ball, they're sorting cups, and then some wooden toys on the end there. And then I've laid out some things on the table for when they get in from nursery because they will love that. And their cuddly toys are all hidden in the little den down there. These are the items that I'm getting rid of that they just don't play with or I think they're too loud. And then these are the sticky on toys which I'm going to put in the kitchen cupboard that we'll use for on their high chair. And then these are the very last 2 boxes. We've got the mega blocks and then a few little bits and bobs that I wasn't really sure where to put, but we want to keep. So that is it. That's our entire toy collection for 1-year-old twins. I really don't feel like I've got rid of very much. I've pretty much just displaced it and hidden it behind cupboards. But I feel like it can be quite sentimental for parents as well to get rid of toys. And also you don't know if they're going to be into them in the future. Thankfully mine are young enough to not realise that they're hidden in the cupboards, so this will give me time to sit back and observe them, and then I will report back to you and let you know if we get rid of any more. I hope that this provided you with some inspiration and ideas for your toy collection. Please comment below, let me know, is this a normal amount of toys? Do you have more? Do you have less? I just don't know. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!